Springtime blooms with possibilities, dreams, and fresh outcomes. For many families struggling with food insecurity, this could also be true with help. On today's show, our friends from Feeding Tampa Bay are here to update us on how they're providing nutritious food for healthy outcomes and hope for a better tomorrow. Feeding Tampa Bay is our guest today on Bayside. Good morning and welcome to Bayside. I'm your host, Shelley Sanders. We are talking about feeding Tampa Bay, both literally and figuratively, if you will. And we can't do that without talking to our friend, Matt Spence. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Shelley. It's great to be back with you.
Yes, it's nice to have you back. Now, I would love to say that we never need you again and that we don't need Feeding Tampa Bay, but unfortunately, there are still many people out there, and with the onset of everything that has happened in this weird world over the last 2 years, unfortunately, that need sometimes has increased.
Yeah, it would be our hope, too, to work ourselves out of a job, right?
Yes, that would be wonderful.
But certainly the last 2 years have been really challenging for the families we serve.
So let's, before we jump right into all of that, in case there are someone who, they're new to the area, we have a lot of people moving here, or someone that just isn't aware, it's their first time hearing about you. Let's talk about exactly what you do here. I know I kind of alluded to it in the beginning, and I know you got a lot going on.
We do.
But talk to us, give us an overview, your elevator speech, if you will.
Sure. So Feeding Tampa Bay is the foundation of the food relief system in West Central Florida. We're the Feeding America affiliate that covers 10 counties from Citrus and Sumter in the north to Manatee in the south, all the way in the heart of Florida to Polk and Highlands counties. So we cover a pretty wide area. There's about 4.4 million people in that area, 1 million of whom we would consider food insecure. And that means they are not necessarily sure that they're going to be able to cover an entire month's worth of food for their family, or if they are, it wouldn't be nutritious, healthy food. And so those are the folks that we serve on a daily basis, that we make sure that they have access to healthy, nutritious food. We rescue food from all sorts of partners, from everything from retail stores like Publix to farmers and growers and canners, all the way throughout the food system. We also this year have purchased a significant amount of food because of the need increasing in our community. And so all of that goes out either directly through Feeding Tampa Bay or through about 450 different agency partners and locations we have across our 10 counties.
Wow, thank goodness for these partners. My goodness, 10 counties, almost 4.5 million people. That is a, pardon the pun, but that's a big bite.
It is. It absolutely is. It's a big undertaking, and we could not do it without fantastic community partners.
Sure.
You know, we work very hard to be your favorite nonprofit's favorite nonprofit partner.
Right. I love that. So let's talk about that food insecure. So often, I mean, I think about, from my entire life, it's always been let's feed the hungry.
Right.
But it goes beyond that because hunger has different stages. It depends upon the need of the individuals. So what exactly does that mean, food insecure?
So I love that you asked the question, because I think a lot of people really do think of the truly very, very hungry, maybe even homeless folks that we serve. That's actually a small percentage of the folks that we help. We consider food insecure someone who maybe just needs us to cover that fourth week of the month, to stretch their budget a little bit, to be able to pay healthcare bills and things like that. And so I think if anything has illuminated our work over the last 2 years, it's been how many people are so close to that moment of needing some additional support. People who, in good times, are doing fantastic, and you would never know.
Right. And I would imagine a lot of families are stricken that way. Maybe they were living paycheck to paycheck with the one child, and now a second one comes along, and it's a whole different ball game, or even health issues, and certainly the last 2 years.
Or rental increases, as we've seen
my gosh.
incredibly over
The
over the course
ripple
of the last
effects
2
of
years.
COVID, outside of the health issues, the
Yes.
ripple effects have been profound.
Yes, food is much more expensive to purchase. If you look at all of the costs of things that have increased over the last several years, housing is number one, but food is number two. And so there are lots of strains on a family budget that weren't necessarily as acute or as dangerous as they were 2 years ago. And even 2 years ago, there were 650,000 people in our community who were suffering from food insecurity.
Sure. Now, I saw somewhere that the people that have never had to stand in a food line or never had to ask for assistance in this kind of way in order to feed a family, that has increased tremendously since with the onset of COVID. Do you find that to be true?
It's absolutely true. When the pandemic began, we really extended ourselves to do a lot more direct distribution. Right? We would take a semi-trailer full of food, go out into to a community partner or to a parking lot like at Tropicana Field or at Hillsborough Community College, and we would invite the community to come and receive groceries. We wanted to know who we were serving and get a better understanding of what their challenges were. So we did some surveying pretty early on, and we found out that 68% of the people who were coming through those lines, and it was thousands a day, had never been recipients of food assistance before.
Wow, that's incredible.
So 2/3.
That's heartbreaking, actually.
It is.
Unfortunate, for sure. So with all of this, is this what the meaning of the hub for hunger?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a
means?
great way to extend our emergency response, but also our day-to-day service to our community. We serving a 10-county area, you can't do that from just one place or just one group of people.
For sure.
And so we have extended a second major facility in Pinellas County, and we call it a community empowerment center because the idea is that it's more than just food. We have a Trinity Cafe there that serves dinner 5 nights a week, really fantastic hot meal, free to anyone who walks through the door. And that's the heart of what we do. But beyond just that meal for today, we also have a pantry that a family can pick up groceries for the week. And then we wrap that with services. We have home health care nurses coming in to support folks if they have questions about their physical health. We have a great partnership with Pinellas County Schools, where they come alongside with adult education and English speaking courses, and then other supports that we can wrap around an individual or a family who comes to us in need, because food insecurity is just a symptom. And we know that in order to get to that root cause and to get people out of a food line, there's a lot more that we can do together to help them.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you brought that up because that's the reality. It's just a symptom of the core issue at hand, and so many things and so many new things. And this doesn't just go for you, it goes for everyone. If you're walking the planet today, everyone has been affected in some way, shape, or form by COVID. And so, yes, it does. It's much, much deeper than that. And I love the fact, one of the reasons why you guys keep coming back is the fact that Feeding Tampa Bay, you are also a resource center. And I love that you brought up Trinity Cafe, because that is just such a wonderful, talk about a heart squish moment.
Yes.
Giving people dignity as well as a meal is a wonderful thing. All right, we've talked about so many things so far, and we just got started. But hey, there's the website. If you're curious, you want to know more, perhaps you're in need, maybe you could benefit from their services, or even better, what if you just want to volunteer? Well, this is a great place to do that. They need tons of volunteers, and we'll get into that when we come back after the break. Why don't you go check it out right now, feedingtampabay.org. Welcome back to Bayside. I'm your host, Shelley Sanders, talking with Matt Spence from Feeding Tampa Bay, doing wonderful things here in the Bay Area. So Matt, when we left for break, we were talking about this fabulous new center, another hub, if you will, in Pinellas County. It's the Empowerment Center, and I remember when you guys came on, I don't know, however many years ago, and it was like humble beginnings and things that you were wanting to do. And it's got to feel, you just have to have a sense of pride knowing that all these boxes were checked and then some, and you're still making things happen. It's incredible.
It's very exciting.
I'm bragging on you, Matt.
I appreciate that. That's why we love coming on here with you. It's always nice to have people who truly understand the work help us get the word out, and that's a big part of what these community empowerment centers do. Is they locate within a community and they make sure that we are truly responding to the needs right around us, because what someone needs in central Pinellas County is not always the same as what someone might need in Citrus or Sumter County. 100%. So that's why the community element of it is so important. But we're really excited to have Trinity Cafe open here. We love the fact that we're right next to a school and we have a great relationship. In fact, the first meals we served as we prepared to open Feeding Pinellas were to the teachers at Blanton Elementary School to just give them a little thank you and give us an opportunity to practice.
Amen to that. Love it. So doing great things, big things. Let's talk a little bit about the environment, right? The social aspect of everything, the world in which we are in today. So many of the hot button issues, not to get newsy or let's talk about them all, but it has to have a direct effect on you. Things like inflation. We're seeing, just like we talked about earlier, rents are increased tremendously, and that looks like it's going to go up again, they're projecting. That affects our food. Anyone that's been to the grocery store, right? If you walk into a grocery store, it's a little surreal. It's almost like a hurricane season, only it's not just water and bread that's missing from shelves. Items that were staples, that where are they now? How does that affect you guys, and what do you do about it?
So I think it always comes back to trade-offs for the families that we serve. We all make budget decisions in our life, right? Do we set aside money for this, or do we pay for some other fun activity? But the families that we serve have much more acute decisions, right? Harder decisions to make. And if you're spending 25% more on food and your rent goes up a couple $100s a month, but your income hasn't really changed all that much, whether you're a senior on fixed income or you're a working family who's just putting it together to get through and give your kids everything you can, those are incredibly difficult decisions to make. And so our work is all around helping individuals and families build capacity, right? Can we take a burden off of you by offering you some food or a hot meal, or a partner who might be able to help you with your electric bill, or cutting transportation costs in some way? How can we work with you so that you can make that salary stretch and cover all your needs?
Absolutely. Now, has there been thought put into play on sustainability, like within a community? Say, for example, in an area where this is a food insecure area just by sheer populace. Is there a way to do like a community garden? Something along those lines?
We've had some conversations around community gardening, also around hydroponic gardening. We have some great partners there in that arena. But even beyond that, we've taken it to the next step. We have a program that we call Fresh Force, and that's a job training program where we offer paid training for individuals with barriers to employment. And we don't specify intentionally, because for some people that might be a scuff on your record, that might be just a long time out of the job market. It could be all sorts of different things. But folks are invited to apply, and we give a 10-week training program. You can become a truck driver, and we get industry standard certifications in that, warehouse and operations, culinary arts, and barista training as well. And so
at the end of the day, you're giving someone a chance, because ultimately no one should, certainly not in this country, should ever go hungry. Or be given a chance, right?
Absolutely.
Mistakes happen and issues happen, and whatever the case may be. So I love that. Now, you brought up seniors. Let's talk about them, because everybody's all like, oh, yay, our seniors finally getting an additional amount on their Social Security check.
Yeah.
What is that not accounting for?
Well, so the increase this year in Social Security is the largest increase in 30 years.
Right.
And it's still below the inflation that we're seeing.
Absolutely.
And that impacts across the board, because our seniors, by and large, aren't going to go out and get another job, right? They've lived that phase of life. And so it's really important for us organizationally to find ways to support them, to offer opportunities for them to come in and get some food, get connected to other resources. because at the end of the day, their opportunities to grow their income are limited, and so you really have to look at the other side.
Sure. So what do you do about those that can't make it down to Trinity Cafe? They're limited in their mobility. Actually, Matt, why don't we talk about that when we come back after the break, because I'm sure viewers at home are wanting to check out the website that they're looking at right now on the screen, and that is feedingtampabay.org, feedingtampabay.org. Also, there's a phone number there, so if you'd like, you can always check out that website, get all the information and then some on what Matt and I are speaking about today, and also figure out how you can volunteer or donate anything, your time, treasure, and talents. They're open-minded to it all. Check it out while we get a break. Welcome back to Bayside. I'm your host, Shelley Sanders. I'm speaking with Matt Spence all about Feeding Tampa Bay and the wonderful things that they are doing here. Now, when we left out on break, we were talking about all the incredible things that you're doing, the state in which we are at, things that have happened, be out of control in some cases, many cases, probably most cases, things that are just, that happen, and it could happen to anyone, right? So it's a very necessity. It's very necessary that you are in the Bay Area doing these things, feeding people, and also really a resource center and befriending these individuals. I know in the past we've talked to some people that have benefited from you, and it's just beautiful to hear them really and how appreciative that they are.
It is. One of my favorite things is to meet someone who is volunteering for us,
Right.
who has been a client. Someone who's received food from us, but their experience was so good that they wanted to turn around and give back. And you'd be amazed at how often that happens. All the time we have folks who say, hey, today I need a meal at Trinity Cafe, but where can I sign up to volunteer? I want to come back and serve. And that's the only way we get done, the volume of things that we do, because we have, this past year, we had 50,000 volunteers.
Holy smokes.
People in our community who said they wanted to give back,
That's
they
incredible.
wanted to lend a hand.
Wow.
And otherwise we would not be able to get the number of meals out that we do.
Sure, that's incredible. One of the biggest compliments ever would be to have a recipient turn around and then give of their time. So kudos to you guys, you're doing something right. So 50,000 volunteers, that's incredible. 50,000 volunteers, that's an astounding number. So what is the output? What are you putting out there food-wise?
So
How many
last
meals
year,
are you serving?
we helped to get 95 million meals out into the Tampa Bay area.
95 million. Holy smokes. This is just 10 counties.
Correct.
I hope that the viewers understand the magnitude of this number. It's almost 100,000 meals in 10 counties in Florida. For one, it's heartbreaking to know that there's that many meals that need to be served. But two, it's incredible, and wow, your partners donate, your volunteers, people that donate, a pat on the back to them to be able to make it where you can actually do this.
Yeah, the only way it happens is through those 50,000 volunteers and all the agencies that are on the ground reaching out to folks every day.
So walk me through a day in the life of a volunteer. What sort of opportunities are there?
So there are a couple of different opportunities. I think the one most people interact with first is sorting at the warehouse. So when we rescue food, it doesn't come in neatly packaged and sorted, right? It comes in pulled off of the shelves of a partner or brought in from a farm. And so we then have to check the food to make sure that it is healthy, to make sure that it is safe to share with our neighbors. And then we have to organize it a little bit so we can get it out into the community.
Sure.
And so that's what we do, check to make sure the integrity of the cans and the boxes, and then pass it along.
Sure. I'm glad you brought that up too, because a lot of people think when you rescue the food, oh, it's bad food, it's outdated, it's this, it's spoiled. When it's not the case, basically, it's just not pretty.
Right.
It's just dented can or, half squished loaf of bread or whatever the case may be. So many things, Matt, that I want to talk to you about, and we are just running out of time. You guys have events coming up. Everything is on your podcast, by the way, which I
Yes.
love the name of. Stick a Fork in It. If you want to check out their podcast, highly encourage you to do so. Stick a Fork in It. They've got all kinds of events coming up, and how are you going to find out about them? Well, you're going to do that by going onto the website that you're looking at right there. That is feedingtampabay.org. You can also figure out how you can help be one of 50,000 volunteers. That's mind-blowing. Crazy, right? All right, why don't you guys check it out? And by all means, if you need assistance, please go check it out. These are wonderful people, can make some things happen for you. We're going to break. We'll be back after this. As always, I'd like to thank you at home for joining us this week on Bayside, and of course, Matt, appreciate you being here. And I want to tell you, every week I tell you to get out and get involved in your community. This is a great way to do that. Be one of the volunteers, or if anything, donate some funds. These guys can't do it alone. And remember, 98% of those donations stay right here in the community. I'm Shelley Sanders. Have a fabulous rest of your week.